Hello and welcome. I am your host of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Author Karen E. Osborne. I have 5 novels out. The latest is Justice for Emerson. I am so glad that you're here. This is a space for readers and writers to come together and talk about books. So I am delighted to introduce you to Rebecca Wells Phillips. Hey, Rebecca.
Hi.
I'm so glad that you could join us today. And we, Rebecca and I, are so glad that you are joining us today, that you're with us today. Thank you. And Rebecca's going to talk to us about a nonfiction book. It's historical nonfiction, and it's called Hurricane Helene, Resiliency After the Storm, Part One. So we got to hear about Part Two also when we're going to get that. So start first with let's just talk a minute about your writing journey. Like what inspired you? And you write a lot. I looked at your you like to write. You are an author, and that is cool. So tell us a little bit about how that, not about every book, just tell us about the
Mhm.
journey, the
Yes.
bug, how the bug bit you.
I grew up in an all-white town in Tennessee, and so my only friend were books, really. And so I got interested in uh, advanced placement English in high school and fell in love with Shakespeare. Yes, I understood Shakespeare, and I love
Me
Shakespeare.
too.
And so I wrote a book after I got married. I sat on it for 10 years because it was a book about me, a memoir growing up in a white town. And so I didn't plan to publish. And then when my mother passed, I decided to publish it. And so in November of 2023 is when I released Hating Self by Boo Black. And so it just kind of went on from there. I just realized, well, I'm not rich, but I enjoy it so much. I wanted to share my pain and turn it into purpose. And so I have published 4 books. I've got a fifth one at Bella Books, a traditional publisher, waiting to see if they'll accept it. I am also working on 2 different projects, which is not part 2 yet of
Mhm.
Hurricane Helene. So
Nice, nice. So tell us what Hurricane Helene Resiliency, tell us what the premise is of the book. When it's, you said it's historical nonfiction, so I don't think that's quite historical because Helene wasn't that long ago.
no, but I was thinking about like a future reference book because what happened was I had written Butterfly Blossoms by Rachel Blue and I self-published it on Amazon like a day before the storm hit. And then when we got the hurricane, it was a tropical storm by then, but we lost power, water, internet, everything. And so after about 7 days, I decided to capture all the articles and stories and everything about the storm just for people to have in the future. And so it wouldn't be forgotten what we had gone through. And then I said part 1 because I had planned to do part 2. I still plan to do part 2, but mainly it was supposed to be factual and just tell you what happened. But then after I was 75% done with writing the book, which took me about 8 months, um, I decided I needed to capture survivor stories. And so I interviewed
Mm,
15 people. In addition to the story being about what I went through, I felt it was very important to know what everyone went through. And so that's really how it was born.
wow, so survivor stories. So who is this book for then? Who do you want to read it? And what do you want them to think, feel, do as a result of reading your book?
This book was written in honor of the victims that we lost in the storm. I didn't want them to be forgotten by anyone, but mainly climate change and these storms are getting
Mm,
worse, and it's written for everyone. There's a chapter on preparedness and the lessons that we learned, And I want everyone to be able to read that book, pick up that list of 43 items that you can do to prepare yourself for any natural disaster or emergency situation. So far, it's been the older generation that have fallen in love with the book because people tend to not want a paper book anymore. They want the ebook. But I feel like Hurricane Helene is more of a reference. It has
Mm.
bibliography and
Take off the,
endnotes, and
yes.
I want it to be used in schools, high schools, and colleges, because there's so much information about what we went through. Yes, there's a lot of death and destruction, but the main point of writing it is to help others prepare for their own storm that they know nothing about.
Wow. So can you give us a couple of examples of things that people can do to prepare?
Yes. We were without water in Asheville, North Carolina for 29 days. That was potable water. That means water that's drinkable or where you could wash your food and things like that. So I suggested that people always keep cases of water in their closet or in their car. That's you can't live without water. And so that's scary. That was scary. I also tell people that the government suggests that you have like $100 per person on you at all times. In this day and age, we cannot afford to have $100 per person on us at all times. But if at all possible, you need $50 because when the power went out, we didn't have anything. Grocery stores would only take cash. We didn't have cash for about 3 days. And at that time, my
Mm.
husband had to drive to Hickory, North Carolina, which was a couple of hours away, to get cash. And he was only allowed to get $300. So always have cash, no matter what. And
That's a
then,
really good one. That's such a good one, Rebecca. I remember my mother telling me as a young girl, young teenager, she said, "You have cash in your wallet." She said,
yes,
you don't know, some man doesn't want to bring you home. Something, things can happen. You never, ever go out without cash. My children, they have no cash. They have their Apple Watch and they have their credit card, and they don't have like even $3 in
no.
their wallets. Can't be, right? That's gotta have some cash in your wallet.
And the last one I'll give you is gas. People drive around with their gas tanks empty. When you have no electricity, no air conditioning, no heat, no water, no way to charge your phones, and you have to depend on your car to charge your phones or to cool off or to heat up, you need to keep at least a half a tank of gas in your car. And if you have more than one car, keep both of them at least a half a tank.
Wow, that's really good advice. That's power. And the water should be both in your home and in your car.
If you can do that, that would be smart. What we've done is I have a water delivery system where they bring me the big jugs of water,
Mhm.
and I bought from Amazon a water cooler. And you can heat your water in that also. So I will never be without water again.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That must have been something. How long after the storm were you able to even think about writing about it? Like, what was the distance between like we survived
Yeah.
and now I need to share? Was that how long was it the distance there?
It was about a week. It was about a week because I felt like we were forgotten and the government didn't show up for a while, and we were just dependent on each other. The community, people had their chainsaws and had to cut through trees so that we could drive out of where we were. The flooding was all the way around us. And so after about 7 days of feeling helpless and hopeless, I decided I needed to write this all down.
Yeah. My goodness, so FEMA didn't show up.
For a while.
Mm,
It took a
for
while.
a while. It took a while. And so the resiliency is so resiliency is also an emotional thing. Part of
Yes.
resiliency is preparedness, but how do you deal with being able to bounce back from something like that, just emotionally?
It was difficult, and I think that's the main reason why I wrote. about it because that pulled me away from it. I have a Bachelor of Arts Communication Broadcast Journalism degree from Carson Newman College, which is now Carson Newman University. And so you're taught in journalism to remove yourself. You can't use your emotion. You just have to get the story. So that's what I did. I got the story and it removed me from my trauma. And until I published the book in August of the following year, I did not deal with my trauma.
Mm. Yeah. So you have some other books. Did you want to share anything about some of your other works?
I wrote Hating Self by Boo Black to show my family who I was and why I was the way that I was. I dealt with a lot of depression, suicidal ideation, anxiety, growing up in an all-white town and dealing with discrimination and hating the skin I was in. So I know that there are other people who deal with those same things, whether you're poor or you're Jewish or you're disabled or you're overweight, whatever. You've been bullied before. And so I wanted to show people that there is hope on the other side. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Each one of us have our own burdens to bear because God gave us those burdens so that we could help someone else. So that one was my fire. That's what started this. I decided to write about LGBTQ community and butterfly blossoms because after 32 years of marriage, I discovered that I was lesbian and divorced my husband. I want people to realize that we don't wake up one day and just say, oh, we're going to be gay. It's something that is hidden and pushed away because we follow society's rules. I got married. I had children. I have grandchildren. I followed the roadmap, but
Mhm.
I still had an attraction to females, and I didn't realize it until just about 5 years ago. So
Mm.
I wrote about
That you found
that.
yourself. That you found yourself,
I found
right?
myself and I couldn't be happier because now I'm not stuck in a situation that was not fulfilling for me. Yes, I was happy and did all the things, but I have taken off and really blossomed and become me, who I was supposed to be now that I'm free from that.
And that's true for all of us, right? So often we're hiding some part of ourselves that we feel shame about, or, let me just try and be who they expect me to be, no matter what you're hiding, no matter what secrets. So I think good on you, good for you,
Thank
that
you.
you were able to come out and be yourself, be who you truly are. That's a beautiful thing. So, our show is What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? And so, have you read anything recently, or it can be any time, that you could recommend to our audience?
So I always like to read to escape. And
Hmm.
so you guys are going to be like, who is this Iris Johansson? Iris Johansson, that's my favorite author. She has this series called the Eve Duncan series. And in it, her daughter of about 7 years of age is kidnapped. And she's distraught. She's just ruined, as any mother would be, but she went to school to learn how to do forensic sculpting. And what she does is she works with the police station and they give her skulls of children to reconstruct. And her whole hope is that one day she'll find her child. But also, she wants to give other people closure and bring someone else's child home. So it is just amazing.
Wow, that does. It's so interesting, Rebecca, that you write uh, to not escape. You write to give back and tell the story, but you read to escape. So that's very cool. Yes. So if our audience wanted to find out more about you, find out more about your books, want to be in touch with you, how can they find you?
I always want people to go to my website because my website has links and pictures of all my books. So www.rebeccawellsphillips.com. But also, I like to hear from people, and they can do the contact sheet on the website. Or if you just want to email me, they can email me at RebeccaWellsPhillips@gmail.com. You can search on any social platform. I'm on 12 social platforms,
Are
either
there
as
12? Are there
as
12?
yeah, well, there are actually. So either as Rebecca Wells Phillips or Becky Wells Phillips. You can also do a Google for Rebecca Wells Phillips, and I have an AI overview. I didn't realize this, but yeah.
Very cool. One of the things I didn't know that this show is going to be your show, your episode. I post on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and then on all like 15 audio platforms,
Wow.
including Spotify, Amazon Music. And now I notice that when on Facebook, you can click on your name when I put up the show, and
Hmm.
there your bio comes up, and
Yes.
and you can even ask the AI, tell me more about Rebecca Wells Phillips, and
Yes,
it's everywhere, but
it is.
sometimes it's very helpful to us. So I know
Yes.
all of you are eager to be in touch with Rebecca, eager to read one of her books, if not all. I hope that when you get in touch with her, you'll tell her that you met her. What are you reading? What are you writing? Hope to see you guys next week. Have a great week, everybody. Bye bye.